Welcome and thank you for joining us in this presentation on Gagne's conditions of learning. My name is Saifan, and together with Joanne, we will explore one of the most influential learning theories in education and instructional design. In this presentation, we will break down Robert M. Gagne's framework, including his 5 categories of learning and the 9 events of instruction, and see how these concepts apply in real-world teaching and training environments. Let's dive in. In this video, we will talk about Robert M. Gagne, who he was and when he developed his conditions of learning theory. Next, we will explore the 5 categories of learning and how different types of learning require different instructional strategies. Then we will go over Gagne's 9 events of instruction, his step-by-step approach to effective teaching. We will also look at real-world applications of this theory in classrooms, training programs, and e-learning. Let's get started. Before we dive into the theory itself, let's take a moment to learn about the mind behind it, Robert M. Gagne. Gagne was an American educational psychologist born in 1916 who made significant contributions to the field of instructional design and learning theory. His work was heavily influenced by behaviorist and cognitive psychology, and he was particularly interested in how learning occurs in structured environments. In 1965, he introduced his groundbreaking theory in his book The Conditions of Learning, which he later expanded in subsequent editions. His ideas became a foundation for instructional design, shaping how educators and trainers develop effective lessons. His work has been widely applied in schools, corporate training programs, and even military education. Through his research, Gagne sought to provide a clear framework for designing instruction that ensures meaningful and effective learning experiences. His contributions continue to influence modern education and e-learning today. Gagne identified 5 major categories of learning, each requiring different instructional strategies. These categories help educators design lessons that match the specific type of learning taking place. Verbal information. This refers to learning facts, knowledge, and data. For example, memorizing historical dates or vocabulary words falls into this category. Intellectual skills. This involves understanding and applying concepts, rules, and procedures. An example would be solving math equations or classifying animals based on characteristics. Cognitive strategies. These are the skills that help learners think critically, solve problems, and develop learning techniques. Teaching students how to outline a reading passage or analyze a problem from multiple angles fits into this category. Motor skills. These involve physical actions and coordination, such as learning to write, type, or play musical instruments. Repetition and practice are key to mastering motor skills. Attitudes. This category focuses on shaping learners' values, motivation, and behaviors. For example, encouraging teamwork, ethical decision-making, or fostering a positive attitude toward learning are all applications of this type of learning. Each of these categories requires different teaching approaches. For example, while verbal information can be taught through repetition and association, motor skills require hands-on practice. Gagne's theory helps instructors design lessons that best support each type of learning experience. Now that we've covered the types of learning, let's explore Gagne's most well-known contribution to instructional design, the 9 events of instruction. Gagne has proposed that effective teaching follows a structured sequence of 9 steps. These steps are designed to guide a learning process, ensuring that students not only receive new information, but also retain and apply it effectively. Each event serves a specific purpose, from capturing learners' attention to reinforcing their knowledge for long-term retention. Whether you are teaching a classroom, delivering corporate training, or designing an online course, these 9 events provide a framework for structured and effective learning. Over the next few slides, we will break down each of these 9 steps and explore how they can be applied in real-world learning environments. The first step is to gain the learner's attention. This sets the stage for learning by engaging curiosity and focus. Effective ways to do this include using an interesting question, a thought provoking image, or an engaging video. For example, in a science lesson, showing a live experiment before explaining the concept sparks curiosity and makes learning more meaningful. Now that we have the learner's attention, it's important to inform them of the learning objectives. This step ensures that students know what they're expected to learn and why it matters. A simple way to do this is by stating clear, measurable objectives. For instance, a math teacher might say, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve quadratic equations. When learners understand the goal, they are more likely to stay motivated and engaged.
Stimulate recall of prior learning. Before introducing new content, it's helpful to activate prior knowledge. This step builds on what learners already know, making it easier to understand new concepts. A simple way to do this is by asking review questions or connecting new material to real-life experiences. For example, before a science teacher gives a lesson about the water cycle, the teacher might ask students to recall what they remember about how water moves through the environment. This provides a foundation for deeper learning, as it not only activates prior knowledge but also encourages peer learning and discussion, making it an engaging and collaborative way to prepare students for new concepts. Present the content. Once learners are ready, it's time to present new information. The way content is delivered plays a huge role in comprehension. Effective methods include breaking information into smaller sections, using visuals, and incorporating interactive elements like videos or demonstrations. For example, in a corporate setting, cybersecurity training might involve an interactive simulation where employees learn how to recognize phishing emails and respond to cybersecurity threats. By actively engaging with realistic scenarios, learners can better retain the information and apply it when needed. Presenting content in a clear, engaging, and structured way helps learners grasp new material effectively. Providing learner guidance. At this stage, learners need guidance to help process and understand new information. This could be through worked examples, analogies, or guided practice. In higher education, learning often involves complex, research-based tasks. For example, in a psychology course, a professor guiding students through experimental design might provide a structured research guide, breaking down key steps like formulating a hypothesis, selecting a methodology, and analyzing data. Rather than just lecturing on research methods, the professor scaffolds the learning experience by offering templates, examples of past studies, and opportunities for students to discuss their research questions in small groups. This type of structured guidance helps students develop confidence and competence in conducting their own research. Providing step-by-step support in any learning environment helps bridge the gap between theory and practice, making new concepts more accessible and actionable. Elicit performance. Practice time! Now that students have received new information, they need an opportunity to practice. This step helps solidify learning by requiring active participation. For example, in a music course, a guitar instructor might teach students a new chord progression, explaining the theory behind it. However, true learning happens when students actually pick up their guitars and practice playing the progression themselves. To reinforce learning, the instructor might first have students play along slowly, then gradually increase speed, and finally apply the progression to a short song. By actively engaging with the instrument, students build muscle memory and confidence in their playing skills. Whether it's solving a math problem, role-playing a business scenario, or practicing an instrument, hands-on performance helps learners apply their knowledge in a meaningful way. Provide feedback. Feedback is crucial for learning. It helps students recognize what they're doing well and what they can improve on. Feedback should be immediate, constructive, and specific. For example, in a writing assignment, instead of simply marking something wrong, a teacher might say, "Your argument is strong, but try adding more evidence to support your claim." This helps students refine their skills and grow in confidence. Assess performance. Assessing performance allows teachers to measure whether students have achieved the learning objectives. This can be done through quizzes, projects, presentations, or even class discussions. For example, after a lesson on fractions, the teacher could give an exit ticket and ask, "Explain in one sentence how you would add two fractions with different denominators." The response helps the teacher quickly assess which students grasp the concept and which may need further support. This method allows teachers to gauge individual understanding, identify common misunderstandings, and adjust future lessons accordingly. Additionally, assessments help teachers ensure that learners have reached the desired outcomes and are ready for more complex tasks in future lessons. Enhance retention and transfer. The final step is helping learners retain and transfer what they've learned. Knowledge should extend beyond the classroom and into real-world situations. One way to do this is through application-based projects. For instance, in a math class, students might be asked to create a budget plan using real expenses and salaries. This allows them to see how mathematical skills apply to daily life, reinforcing long-term learning. As we reach the end of this presentation, we would like for you to think about the following discussion questions. Number 1. How do Gagne's 9 events of instruction align with modern teaching methods through online learning? Number 2. Which of Gagne's conditions do you think has the greatest impact on student motivation and engagement, and why? Finally, how can teachers effectively apply Gagne's conditions in differentiated instruction? Thank you.